guys, now that we have created our time capsules, let's start filling it, right? So first, I want you to imagine that someone from the future pops down and asks you to explain 2020. Think about what comes to mind when you hear the year 2020. What artifacts or objects can tell a story of your life in 2020? I'm now going to show you some items that I'm putting in my time capsule, and I'll explain why I put each one. These items are of course personal to me, but they could maybe give you some inspiration. But please, you choose your items however you want, and because this is your box and I want it to be personal to you. All right, so let me open it up. To begin, I thought it would be funny to put a bottle of hand sanitizer in there because 2020, we are being aware of germs. We're trying to stay safe, keep others safe. So of course we use hand sanitizer. If you want to choose to put one of these in your box, just make sure it's empty. Okay, I have to wash mine out. Next, I'm also gonna put a mask because, as we all know, it's important to practice social distancing, to wear our masks, to keep ourselves safe and the others around us safe. So I'm gonna throw a mask in there. I also thought it'd be funny to put an empty paper towel roll because remember at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was going a little crazy and we were running out of toilet paper. So I thought that would be a good story to tell, and it really reflects how this year went. Another thing that I did, which you might want to do, is I actually sat down and looked through my photographs in my camera. And I started with January 2020, and then I wrote down the events that happened. So I love to take photographs. So the photographs kind of become my timeline of 2020. I wrote down January in here, and then I wrote the events that happened. Moved on to February, wrote those events, and so on until I got to the end of the year in 2020. So these are just my personal notes. I always like to reflect on the year and celebrate what went well, and then also to record maybe some of the struggles that I had. So I know that my future self will like reading these, so I'm including that. And speaking of photographs, another idea is that you could print off some photographs of some things that, were different and unique about 2020. We don't normally walk around wearing face masks. So this, maybe you have some photographs of you and your family wearing face masks together. Maybe you were involved in a drive-through parade or celebration where you got to drive by and say hi to people, but still staying socially distanced. Maybe you want to include a picture of that. If you don't have a printer to print off some photographs, you could always draw a picture. Maybe you want to draw your setup of how you are working from home and doing virtual learning. That's very different than a normal school year. And lastly, in the box, I'm also putting an artwork that I completed during the pandemic. I had a lot of time on my hands, as we all did, being at home. And so I actually got to create a lot of artwork, which was really good for my soul and for my happiness and just my creative freedom. And speaking of art, one thing I am asking that you must do, is include some sort of artwork that you made. This could be something that you made last school year when the pandemic started, maybe over summer, or any of the art that you created from virtual learning this year. Oh, also another idea is that you could write down a little description of why you put each item in your time capsule. Maybe ask an adult to help you so that you guys could write those down together, put them in your time capsule. Your future self will then have a reference for why you put these items in, and it won't just seem random. And really, while I was filling my time capsule, I was thinking of things that were different about 2020. What were maybe things that I had never done before, experiences that I hadn't had yet. So try to think of that while you are collecting your artifacts to go in your time capsule. But now I'm actually going to show you some of the photographs that I'm going to print off and put in my time capsule. And then after, I'll meet you back here. Biggest change that 2020 brought was working from home. Schools were no longer held in person and everything was virtual. So I had to learn how to make this successful. Teachers and the community here at Pond Springs all really came together. We supported one another. We shared ideas and sent nice messages to one another. We also had a lot of Zoom meetings with the staff. And then summer started. I was so bored during the pandemic, I actually got a blow-up pool, which was different. I spent a lot of time by myself going on hikes, and that helped inspire me to create some art. I had a lot of time to sit down and really work on my art. And then I got the best news of my life, that I was going to be the art teacher here at Pond Springs. This school year, it definitely is different. For in-person learning, we are all socially distanced and wear masks. It is my first year teaching art, so I've learned a lot. I've also learned how to do virtual art. Hello, my amazing artist, and welcome back to Art While Apart with me, Miss H. 2020 was a wild ride, but I learned a lot of lessons, created a lot of art, and had a lot of time to self-reflect and grow. All right, friends, after you have filled your time capsule, we need to keep it shut. So I'm actually going to tape the hole outside of it, and then I'm going to store this in a place really, really safe. I have to keep this for 40 years. That's a long time. So it needs to be somewhere safe where I won't forget it and it won't get messed up. So ask an adult for some help. Some people bury their time capsules in the ground. Not really recommending that you do that. I'm actually just gonna keep mine in my closet, but talk to an adult at home and ask them, where should I store this? Where would be a good place to put my time capsule? So in summary, the idea of the time capsule is to keep it sealed until the open date that you decide and have put on your box. And then when you open it, you're going to see all these items that tell a story of 2020 and what you experienced, how you felt, and maybe some new challenging or interesting things that happened to you. With these artifacts and with our artwork, we can tell a story that the future generations can listen to and learn from. I hope some of these gave you inspiration, but now it's time to start. Go gather your artifacts, put them in your time capsule, seal it closed, and find a place to store it. I would recommend having about 5 items or artifacts and have one of those be a piece of artwork that you created. If you want to add more artwork, please do so. But that's really it. It's time to get started. I hope you have fun, take chances, and stay curious.